Yes, we are recording. It's Thursday, March 9. We are recording only for the members of the organizing committee for CSF 2024 who cannot be here for this meeting now. So, this festival that just ended, it was, as somebody put it, it was a mammoth project. Mammoth, like I think a mammoth was a giant elephant, right? Back in the day. And even documenting it has been a mammoth thing of sending the files to people and asking them if they want it on YouTube. And that process is not even finished yet. But about 35 of the 64 recordings of workshops are up. So this was the third year of Zoom. I guess hopefully we're at the end of the pandemic, and this was the third year of it. I forget, and I think a lot of people forget, the first 8 years of the Chennai Festival was almost 100% in person. Some of you might remember we had events at the Goethe Institute, at University of Madras, at Dr. MGR Janaki College, at Loyola College. I'm sure I'm leaving some out. But this year we had 3 hybrid events, which I thought went very well, except for very few people showed up. You know, when you give people the choice of attending by Zoom at home or coming to the venue, of course, many people are going to watch it at home. But in terms of the tech aspect, it went pretty smoothly, right? Ambuja, you told in one of them, right?
British Council, I think we had a decent crowd in person.
Yeah. So I thought British Council was reasonably crowded.
Yeah, reasonably. We had some 20-30 people minimum, but only thing was children were also there. But so
they told me they want to do something with the festival next year.
Yeah.
They were so inspired. I think that maybe they just on the spot decided they were going to have a children's storytelling contest, and they invited children to send in brief recordings of storytellings. So I don't know if they're going to follow up on that, but they want to collaborate in the future. I think the Goethe Institute wants to. The woman there who does programming is so helpful and kind. Dr. Shuba, I think her name is.
Shuba, yeah, I did one last week.
These places, they really need to get people to come to their places, because they have these big places, and you know, in the case of the German one, the German government is paying for it. In the case of the British Council, that's a business, so there's a lot of money invested in keeping those places going, and it only makes sense if they have a lot of people coming in and becoming members and so forth. So we are useful to them if we can help bring in people. And the library, again, it was small, but the process was very nice, and it worked. So so those are 3 possibilities to follow up with. But okay, let me get to the point. I was overloaded last year by booking 145 individual storytellings, 20-minute storytellings, and hosting each one of them and giving feedback. And this year, 64, 65, 90-minute workshops. I can't go on. You know, I feel almost as a public service during the pandemic. We had the 3 Chennai festivals on Zoom, and also just when the pandemic first began, I organized a 24-hour storytelling event in May 2020, which was like the Chennai Festival, many of the same people. So these 4 events, they are a set, and the set is over because you know, it was all free for one thing, And I cannot go on spending thousands of hours working for free. I'm now suddenly in a position, I'm not going to tell you the details, but I'm now in a position where I actually have to make some money. So so I need to step back. I'd like to continue facilitating some workshops, and my inclination, and I'm getting, advised to make it ticketed. Maybe workshops on a theme of wellness, that would be storytelling workshops for and by adults. Then there could be some workshops for teaching and learning, which would involve people who work with young people. Maybe a workshop or two on story composition and storytelling techniques. So I will facilitate a small number of workshops, and I'm not sure if it'll be ticketed or not, because I just don't think there's much money to be made. So many people see things for free on YouTube now. I don't think people around the world are going to spend much money for storytelling workshops online. And by the time I pay a company to, set up the payment process, and by the time I pay the workshop leaders, the money is going to be insignificant. I've always approached these free events as it's giving a free sample, and then afterwards people can, join ticketed events after the festival. And it's working a little bit for me in that I have a 10-session workshop coming up, and I have 10 people who've joined it. And I'm sure it's because, the Chennai Storytelling Festival is known. It's a pretty famous brand name now in the global storytelling world. So for these 11 years, I have resisted the storytelling events, especially by children, because, that's not really my thing. I do storytelling by and for adults on the first Monday of the month, which I'll continue this year, beginning May. And even the festival, it's been geared towards adults. But now that it's time for me to kind of step back, I think it's a good time. I suggest that this coming year be especially dedicated to storytelling workshops and performances for, by, with children. Because many of the 55 professional storytellers who are listed in the Indian Storytelling Network, many of these 55 work with children. And so the value of a festival, to me, again, it's not so much that we make money at the festival itself, but we get people in, we get their contact information, we maybe give them a sample of something, and then we can follow up with them throughout the year. If there's any money to be made, it's in regular, ongoing, year-round sessions and classes. So I did facilitate 2 workshops on one relating to autism and one relating to attention deficit disorder, relating to not just children, but older people too. And I'll want to continue that. There's an organization in Bangalore that works with autistic people that they especially want to work on this. And the idea was, we want to coach autistic people who want to develop their own storytelling. We'll coach them. So it's not just about telling stories to autistic people, but it's primarily assisting autistic people to develop their communication abilities. So I'll do that with the autism and attention deficit. I'll facilitate a small number of Zoom sessions, and the sweet spot, as some of you might know, the real sweet spot for communicating with people in East Coast USA is starting at 8 p.m. India time. Because 8 p.m. India time is 9:30 a.m. Boston time. I have found that at 9:30 p.m. India time, most people in India they hang up. It's too late. So I'll want to do events from 8 p.m. to 9:30 India time, and also some events 9 a.m. India time, because people on East Coast, West Coast USA, the sweet spot for them is like 9 p.m. Saturday night in California is about 9:30 a.m. the following morning in Chennai. So that's also a good time. That's for people in California, and also people east of here in Singapore and New Zealand and so forth. So, but we could have events, more than one event happening at the same time. And because what I'm putting out to you, what this meeting is all about, is I'm inviting you to develop any events you want. I suggest, especially for and with children, but not necessarily. But you need to decide, do you want to develop events that will be purely in person, or that will be hybrid, or that will be Zoom?
Oh, Eric.
Let me just finish one more thing. Maybe jot down notes so you don't forget what you want to say. So these events that you all can develop can be in person, hybrid, or by Zoom, and storytelling. If there should be storytelling. I upset matters this past year by having almost no storytelling in the Chennai Storytelling Festival. Finally, I did that silly little contest where people could send in recordings. But if any of you might like to arrange storytelling events, again, in person, hybrid, or by Zoom, please go ahead. And all of these events, you decide if you want them to be ticketed or free. Okay, I'm done. Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, no, actually, in the beginning, you were talking about, that it's difficult for you to run, like every year. And you were mentioning that, it's a mammoth problem. I mean, it's a huge responsibility that we're continuing this, right? And remember, a few years back, we, in the posters and all that, we always mention jointly with Chennai storytellers.
Yeah, even this year.
Yeah, even this year also, yeah, I noticed. But what happened is, we normally, most of our Chennai storyteller members, especially the senior members, literally we never joined with you fully. That's what I could make out. Of course, we were part of it, we tried to help you here and there and all that. I did posters and all that before, all those things, but not literally, in the sense of fully involved. Right?
Correct.
Yeah, to take your burden off, the coming year on 24th, 2024, why not we almost take the off of your burden, like arranging, making things, like the recording and all that.
Okay, but I don't think it should be limited to the Chennai Storytellers Group. There's also MAST, right? The Madras Association of Storytellers. There's also Springboard Tales. Am I forgetting any other organizations?
But actually, Eric, both MUST and Springboard Tales are actually subgroups
Part of
Chennai Storytellers.
some extent.
Yeah.
Everybody there in Chennai Storytellers Group.
Okay. There may be a few members of the Indian Storytelling Network in the Chennai page who are not yet members of Chennai Storytellers, but we can encourage them to join. And I will encourage, there are a few members of Chennai Storytellers who are not yet members of the Indian Storytelling Network. I would encourage them to pay the 500 rupees and be members. because it's handy to be able to give the link to give the biodata. But yes, Sean, yes. Let the Chennai Storytellers Group take the lead. I mean, these 3 hybrid events were largely driven by some members of the Chennai Storytellers. Ambuja and Vasugi set up the library thing. I set up the British Council and the Goethe Institute, but all of the Chennai all of the storytellers in Chennai for the hybrid events were members of Chennai Storytellers, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yes, sir.
so you see, in the past, the last 10 years, I was too much of a control freak. I was too. I mean, I had a vision of how to do it, and as I say, I resisted the children's aspect of it. But those days are over. I'm not done, but I'm done a good. I need to give over the responsibility mostly to you all.
So to add to what Shant sir was saying, how about this? Like, you have a plan of hosting packages of workshops online for 2024. So you take care of that. The offline events, like how Shant sir is saying, locating the places and planning what events can be done and organizing those. Maybe the Chennai Storytellers can take up the lead.
Me.
So people can decide.
It's not a headache, but it's a big task. Organizing events on Zoom is a zillion times easier.
Yes.
When you have a live venue, either you have to pay the people or you have to work out a collaboration with them. You have to make sure the lighting is reasonable. You have to make sure there's a sound system. There's a lot of detail work in it.
Yes, Eric. But see, if we are planning at hybrid events, then I understand there's a lot of technical stuff involved. Before pandemic, we were doing in-person events where not much of technicalities were in. We were even doing programs without mic systems in very small places too. So, yes, hosting on Zoom is much easier. And see, even if in 2023 we had events which were hosted, for example, the Tamil event, the Hindi event, the multi-language event, and so there were separate people who were hosting Zoom events. So, I'm wondering, like, maybe I'm sure that will continue year after year because there were people from different places all over India who were participating.
The multi-language events, it's very easy. There's not much to it. Everyone does their own thing. I'm happy to do it. And I pay a good deal of money each year to make a poster. I would like to continue that, but at least I should receive money to pay for the poster.
Yeah, we can see that, we can see that, where all it's necessary that we can share between Chennai Storytellers. We did that before, no? I remember a few years back.
Yes.
We did that. So I think it's time that, we also put some money collectively and gather something and, we organize, we pay money to the Zoom or we arrange some technical fellow to make a Zoom also. Why not? It is possible, right? So because we have more than 50 members.
Yes.
So each will give 1,000 or 500 rupees. That's enough to cover up the expenses of running it, right? So why not we do that? Maybe posters and other thing also we can cover it up. Why not? With your guidance, of course, because you are the one who experienced in this, and with your guidance, yes, we can take it up. No, because what I am thinking is slowly, we would like to share. The Chennai Storytellers should share with you, because it is like something like, you just announce and send a mail, and by seeing the mail, we just do the program and come back and ask for a recorded version. So it's going on. So it's time that, we also should part of it and share with you and also take some of your burden, because I personally knew that, how much work you have been doing. So
I have 2 projects in this coming year. Number one, some of you know, I've written a movie, which I'm
Wow.
about 8 teenagers from New York City, all different colors, Chinese American, African American, they come to Chennai, and then they come to the mountains near Kodaikanal, and they visit with tribal people. They're coming for an educational visit. But each one of the young people is having their own identity crisis. Even the young tribal people are having identity crises. But they forget all that because the visitors learn about a particular flower that has a very powerful medicine, and they help use that flower to save many people. So this movie has singing and dancing, and I believe it's a big movie. It's not so much for the Indian audience. It's for people like me who are stuck back in the USA or the UK, who wish they could visit the Indian jungle, because it's a sort of a fantasy version of what I've done. I actually did visit with tribal people, but I didn't discover any flower that helped people. I just studied fairy tales and children's songs and games. So I'm trying to make this movie, and it's not easy. It's difficult even to send the summary of the movie to an agent in California, because they all say we will not look at unsolicited material. So I'm trying various methods to do that. And I mean, if I have to fly to California and walk around, I'll do that, because I really believe in this project. The other thing is that there's a university here in India that may be starting a folklore department, and they may be hiring me to help run the folklore department. So I want to be ready to spend. I'll always primarily live in Chennai, I hope, but I hope to be involved with this university, which is out of Chennai, and developing their folklore thing. So those are two projects which I hope take a lot of my time in the coming year. So yes, this is the year for Chennai Storytellers and Springboard Tales and Mast to take over the thing. And we can, this year, Vasugi and I went to the Hindu. Traditionally, I've had very good luck with the Hindu because I know people there. And the journalists we met said they would do a big article, but it never came out. They have a lot fewer pages. They have a lot fewer advertising than in years past. But I'm sure that next year, if a committee of Chennai storytellers goes to the Hindu and says, we have all these events, and
How about Times of India, Eric? Times of India has a better circulation than Hindu.
Yes. And the Tamil language.
Dinamalar or Dinatandi.
Renu Mira did a couple of workshops in Tamil language this year. So there should be events in Tamil language also. So I think if a team of us went to these papers and presented all these things, it would certainly get newspaper coverage like we did in years past. I think a very strong angle is that during the 3 years of the pandemic, a lot of schools were closed. A lot of young people did not do so well in school because they didn't like the online thing. The online thing did not work for many people, intellectually and also socially, emotionally. So now storytelling is coming to save the day and help people catch up and develop. Okay, so you decide what events, and very important, should they be ticketed? That's an important question. Personally, you see, if we would have made the events ticketed at the library, we would have had to pay the library. So I think with there being no money involved, I don't think we would have made much. We wouldn't have made any money either way. Next year may be a little different, but again, I feel the money, whatever it is in bringing people in, the children and their parents and the teachers, and then developing ongoing year-round relationships with them. And by the way, storytellers, for anyone who's serious about making some money in this business, the thing to do is to write books, children's books. Maybe there should be a workshop in writing children's books. Anyone else? Comments, questions? Alvin, speak to us.
Hi, Rick. Good evening, all. Actually, yeah, excited about going back offline and more offline. So I'm sure we've started it a lot earlier. Definitely sure. Maybe a few selected events you can keep it ticketed. Maybe if you're doing some shows about government school or something like that, you can keep that free. But maybe if you're doing it at like say a public space and you get there or in a bus for the society, I think you can try it. Ticketed. I think you can have a balance of both. Maybe some underprivileged schools you keep it free and then yeah. Then,
Okay.
and some special ticketed events.
We've gone for half an hour. I think it's a good idea to stop the recording. We can keep talking, but I think it's good to stop the recording so the people who were not here, they can just say, oh, there's a 30-minute recording we can listen to. Does anyone want to say anything for the recording before we stop recording?
Eric, I just have one suggestion. Since you said it's going to be for children, by children, or I mean, we have to reach out to a lot of kids. I think if each storyteller in their area picks out a school, approaches them, and just like how we had a banner for our offline events, right? We can just take that banner, take a help of a co-storyteller or group in as 3 or 4, and just conduct the event. That's all. We need not have hybrid also. It just spreads our name and it's more exposure. So I think if I'm sure many of our storytellers, we are all associated with some school or the other. Only thing is, I don't know about ticketed or free. Free, we'll definitely get a warm welcome. And they'll just, the 3rd, 4th standard kids can assemble in their school auditorium and we can do a 40-minute session for them and put up the Chennai Storytelling Festival banner. So that was my suggestion. And if we reach out, like every storyteller reaches out to one school in their area itself, we'll cover about 20 schools. And that is my suggestion.
Yes, it's good to develop ongoing relationships with schools. The thing is, of course, it's best if the school hires a storyteller to come in and do training for the teachers and training and performances for the children. But that is not necessarily a part of the festival. You see, the festival
during the festival time, like promoting the festival.
But generally, a festival is open to the public. If there are a lot of closed events that are just in schools for the schools, it can be part of the festival, but it's not really in the spirit of the festival. But a value of the festival is to get those teachers and parents and children interested, so they do hire us for around the year. Chitra, are you here? She was here before, and she had, Chitra did a workshop about a graphic novel, and she's very involved with graphics, and she has various thoughts that she told with me. I'll include them in the notes. Okay, Chitra, there you are. Do you want to?
I just came in. So yeah, I was listening off and on because the network was really bad. What I wanted to kind of add a few things here. One is like skill sharing can be a pull for people. Like you were saying, some workshops on maybe children's illustration and things like that. So that could be one thing. But also if you can involve, because sometimes having some kind of ethnic roots would be a big pull also. So if there are certain communities whose stories, so I mean the festival, so the festival can actually take on a more spread out approach. Like it could take on the form of, say, a walk. It could take the form of spreading out into the city, looking into the city's heritage also. So connecting it with the city, but also connecting it with, because its city represents a state or whatever. So other kind of ethnic communities, or if there is a theme. So if we're talking about children, then what kind of themes can we look at? And if it can also be decentralized, because I live in a different part of the city which is not even considered Chennai. So can we look at decentralizing it, finding, say, partners in different zones in the city?
Absolutely. And somebody, I forget who, but somebody was interested in developing events with Urdu-speaking people in Chennai, the
Interesting.
Urdu-speaking community. And that could be done with any language community in Chennai.
True. So I felt that could be one, and then the other pull is what I'd shared earlier. Like I have let's say younger family members, and generally I've seen there is this pressure from schools, which is everything is project based learning, and sometimes they end up creating projects which become like a drudgery. So there's no real learning experience there. So that could be a place where a few skills can be added in. How can you tell? I mean, how can you narrate your projects also in an interesting way? You know, so the idea that somebody had shared around communicating science concepts, maths concepts, but can it be also connected to, you know, environmental ideas? So there, I mean, the schools, their curriculum is now talking about sustainable development in a very lackadaisic way, but you know, can it incorporate? So how can stories make it? So I think connecting stories beyond recreation and you know, making it more uh, you know, contextual, saying how is it going to help them in everyday situations. So there is this a need for very young children to also present in front of their classes. So you know, what kind of skills can they build through that? So I think those areas can be tapped in, and bringing in parents, making it also multi-generational. So when you're addressing children, it's not just children by themselves. And considering the kind of lifestyles we're living in cities, the family time really doesn't get valued or get honored. So coming up with ideas to bring multi-generational audiences together. So it's not just very young children, but a group of children, parents, grandparents, something like that.
Eric, maybe I can add a little bit one on that, what Chitra was saying. Actually, you know, some of members of Chennai Storytellers already doing a storytelling with the skills based. Okay, maybe you can join with them, or we can join with you, whatever it is, you know, we can all join together and, you know, pool the information and see how the skills and the storytelling can be mixed up. I've been doing, I think Ambujam is already doing, some people are already doing it in our Chennai Storytellers. So maybe we can work together in that.
Yes, Eric, you know, we can, as Chitra told and Lalita was telling about we can spread across the Chennai. No, we don't want to keep it here and there. We just spread across the Chennai. And first we have to go towards the apartments, that is gated communities, where more children will be there. And really we can focus them a lot. Own ourselves, and we can approach these gated community and do our festival in a grand way. That's what I feel personally.
And a few members of the community actually have physical spaces, like Zarin. Zarin, you have an actual space, sort of an after-school center. So
yes.
That should be publicized and should be on the map, on the storytelling map of Chennai. Yours it's in the southern part of Chennai, right?
It's in OMR, Karabakam.
Mm-hmm.
And
sorry.
Yeah, like you said, right? Like Anuradha was saying, we have to target communities. So that's very important, because in OMR, one apartment, you have 600 houses. So imagine the number of children who will be there in that one apartment. There are more such communities. And I also have always felt that the CSF doesn't even reach those apartments, because I go to my center and travel back. They are not aware of these festivals. We have, maybe we can go to these apartments and conduct free contests, so that they'll come in and submit their stories or any other entries for this contest. And that way we can also collect their mail IDs, which we could use to share such informations to them. Instead of struggling to get the user info, we can go to these communities, and if they enroll for this free contest, we can have their details. Like we will actually focus on the crowd which we are looking at. If you go and go with this approach, go to apartments, say that we are conducting a contest, and we can actually call it a prep work for our festival. So even if we have a ticketed event, our tickets will sell.
Yeah, and if you take my community, I live in Adambakam near Velachery. In and around, I don't find any storyteller or storytelling that the need is not there across my community. So that awareness to be created, being, we are quite passionate towards this, and we have to spread it across Chennai.
Storytelling is a form of public speaking, which also involves acting. And I think many parents now are aware of the benefits of young people developing their public speaking abilities.
Yes, but most of them don't know what storytelling is about, what theater is about. People call me and say, what exactly is this class about? I'm saying it's theater. They say, what theater? Okay, so people don't really get that. There are two things I think we're confusing with the issues here. One is, Eric is specific that this is only for the Chennai Storytelling Festival. A lot of the ideas that you guys have come up with are for regular, month-on-month sessions that you could have in your communities, in your schools. For example, learning-based stories, STEM, math, whatever. No learning will happen in a 1 hour session where 4 questions are going to tell a story. These are sessions which have to happen continuously over a period of time. Only then those concepts will get incorporated into their day-to-day thing. Otherwise, all said and done, if you do from a perspective of the festival, we should not undermine the value of entertainment. Whether it is science-based, math-based, the stories still have to have entertainment value. That is what will bring the kids to the sessions. And we will have to have multiple variants of storytelling that we have. Some do kamishibai, some do mime, some do costumes, whatever. Those are the things that will attract the kids and their parents to bring them to these shows. It's a show. It's a performance. I know Arik doesn't like the word performance, but all said and done for the children's community, it is a performance. Whether we are trying to teach them morals or teaching them science, but for the children, it is still a performance. So that is something we should not forget in all this.
Yes, that's fine. And as I've said, I think the function of the festival is to draw attention to what you as individuals are doing and what you're doing all around the year, and to draw people in so that you can pick people up and get them involved in your ongoing activities. But I also want to say that we should not say that the 2024 is only for children's events.
Yeah.
Because part of the identity of the festival is adult-oriented workshops and all. And one storyteller said to me, "Oh, Eric, this is the only place where I can do storytelling, in relation to adults. Don't take that away." So there will be, anything will be, okay, you see, the way I've run this festival for at least the last 3 years, and maybe before that, I said yes to everything. The last 3 years, anybody who volunteered to lead a workshop or tell a story was welcomed. Anybody. So you are going to have to decide if you want to follow that method or not in the events that you organize. See, one positive aspect of the reputation of the festival is that it's so inclusive. People notice that there are some storytellers who are expert and some who are beginners. And I think it's fine to have that mixed in, but you may decide you want to do it differently, especially if it's a ticketed event. And just for general interest, the term performing, as you all know, I've been trained by Laura Sims. And Laura says, storytelling is most of all a ritual, a secular ritual, where we get in touch with the deep parts of ourselves and each other, and we, have a mystical experience with the universe. So she's made me think twice before I use the word performance and entertainment, because her approach is more that it's a communion, but of course it is also entertainment and performance. Okay, shall we stop recording so the recording is not too long, but we can continue talking? Is that okay? Okay, here we go.